I think I'm streaming now, but I like to wait until I see for sure. Oh, yep. Streaming now. Oh, it looks like it only has part of my screen there. Well, that's okay. Sorry, folks. Why is it not showing my whole screen? Sorry. Some difficulties, technical. Alright. I think that's better. Showing most of my screen. Alright. Thanks, Take Walker. Can always rely on you to be around and tell us how tell us the positives of the things we're doing. Can you see most of the screen now? Does it look good from your perspective? Seems alright. My preview here. Alright. So let's see here. Well, welcome to those of you who are here. I don't know if you know what we're doing, but this is basically a stream where I'm just going to do some programming for One Deck Dungeon. If anybody doesn't know, One Deck Dungeon is our third game project. It's been out since I think May of last year. And it is a roguelike dungeon crawler for 1 to 2 players. If it's 2 players, it's cooperative. And basically you go through the dungeons, you select your rooms, and then you roll dice. And you have to place the dice on the thing you're fighting. And you have various skills that help you mitigate bad rolls. And that's a huge part of what the game is about, is leveling up your character so you have more and more tools to mitigate bad luck, basically. When you start out, it's mostly luck, and then it becomes less and less luck-based as the game goes on. Some people don't play long enough to find that out. They just say, oh, I just roll dice and whatever happens, happens. That's not true, but you know, that's the way the game works. All right, so today I'll be programming a new character for One Deck Dungeon. We haven't done that in a while, and it's actually a crossover character from Aeon, which is the game we're working on now. Which is out in early access. It is not finished, but it is rolling along. So here is the text that we'll be using. The hero has a heroic feat, which they can use at the beginning of a battle. Roll any or all of your dice stored here. A lot of heroes have this, so I've made this part generic code. Store a heroic here whenever you use a magic skill. And you can store up to 2 dice at a time in 1 player, or only 1 die in 2 player. Again, that's pretty standard, so this is sort of the only new thing. They have 2 innate skills that sort of swap back and forth between each other. The first one is prep. You pay magic, any amount of magic, and then you store strength 2 or agility 2 here for every 2 mana spent, a maximum of 6. And then replace that skill once you've done that with Chaos Arc. And then once you have Chaos Arc, it's a free skill, and you can use it to add 2 to the dice that are stored there, and optionally you can gain them or just leave them there to be increased later. If you do gain them, you immediately replace it with prep again. If you leave them, then it just stays Chaos Arc. So that's pretty interesting. We already have one skill, that's Fanatics, that replaces itself, but once it's replaced, it remains replaced for the rest of the game. Basically, it prevents her from getting a game over once, and then brings her back, but she has a new skill, and so she can't do that more than once per game. This one goes back and forth, so that's a bit more interesting because then you got to kind of plan ahead about when you're going to prep it and when you're going to use it. My guess is that you'd probably want to prep it when you're in like an encounter that you don't really need it for, and then you would actually use it later on. Because if you use prep, it doesn't say this here, but if you use prep, then Chaos Arc should also come when it's replaced. It'll have been considered used. And similarly, when you use Chaos Arc, prep will be considered used. So you can't both prep and use in the same encounter. So that's interesting. Yeah, does that mean Jay is still on board for crossing over into Aeon's End? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the intention. And hello to Migrant P. As most of you know, Migrant P is the lead developer for all our games at Handelabra. Okay. So two I guess caveats here. I haven't programmed a new character in One Deck Dungeon since the last promo, so it's been quite a while. So I might have to refamiliarize myself with some things that this engine does. And this is actually a little bit involved, so I might not finish the whole thing, but I guess we'll see. I guess I'll just continue reading. For 2 players, the heroic feat's pretty much the same. Innate skill, any of the party's magic skills that have been used may now be used again. Normally when you use a skill, that's it, it's gone for that encounter, can't use it again. But this skill twists that around and lets you use it again. Now unfortunately this and this won't exist at the same time, so you can't use it to prep or anything, because this is for 1 player and this is for 2 players, but that's still pretty cool. There are some pretty powerful magic spells in this game. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I do, this is the hero card list. This is a definition library, basically. And this is where we put in all the code, and most of it is text that will appear. Now, in One Deck Dungeon in particular, we actually write a lot of our... We define a lot of our code in the definition itself. We don't do that in any of our other games. Actually, no, we do that in Bottom of the Ninth too. We don't do that in Aeon's End or Sentinels, because in those games the cards can be quite complicated. But in Bottom of the Ninth and One Deck Dungeon, the skills are a little bit more straightforward. So sometimes it can save time in the long run to make a library where you basically define a lot of what you need the skill to do just in the definition itself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. Maybe you'll pick it up as I'm going along. So let's see. Right, her name is Mist. So I do these alphabetically. Mage. So it would go right after Mage. Can just kind of copy paste that. The expansion. It's a standalone expansion, Mist. The identifier and the title are both Mist. Right, one player. Okay, I don't think I have those stats yet. Oh, alright. Well, I'm already unprepared. John, do we have the stats for these characters? For this character, I mean. If not, I'll just leave it as it is for now and fill them in there. Yeah, I don't know that we do. So I'm just going to leave them. Yeah, I'll just leave them as the same as the mages. That's not a huge deal. That won't take long. Like, that'll take literally a few seconds to change once we know. So, because you just change these numbers and boom, it's fixed. So I'll focus on the hard stuff first. So, innate skill, right? Prep. And in 2-player, the innate skill, divine augury. And heroic feat. Focus. I think there's already one called focus. If there is, we'll need to change it. But I guess we'll see. Store heroic die here when you use a magic skill. Okay. And I also don't know what encounter types these can be used in, so I'll just say for now they can be used in combat and peril. Because I like being able to use them in everything. Okay, that's actually about it for what we know. Now I'll load up skill list. Skillist. I'm the skillist. And this is actually where we define most of this. So here, these are just references. Basically, give them this skill. Give them that skill. Because this would get pretty bloated if we tried to include everything. So this just cross-references it. If you know anything about databases, you know, you have a key and that says look that up in somewhere else. So now I have to make these skills. Now, because they swap out, I guess I'll just copy the code for Aegis of Resurrection. And then it's called prep, so I'll go to where right here. Prep takes magic dice. It's not passive. Right, so here I have to define what we're doing with this. And so store. So I don't store effect. No, we don't actually have this class type yet, because it's storing and then replacing itself. So I guess we'll have to do that. And then we put in the words here. Right, and then this is not format as string. Agility. Pretty sure that's the I'm just going to double check that. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Store a strength 2 or an agility 2 here for every 2 mana spent, max 6, and replace this skill with Chaos Arc. Right, and here's where we put those icons. Not really sure which ones to use. We probably don't have any for this yet. So I'll just put FPL for now. But we do have replace skills, so that will save me some time for sure. Yeah, so in the chat here, John's saying we don't have any skills that store dice, just heroic feats. And so yeah, I might have to either borrow code from heroic feats or just make it common code between them or whatever. We'll have to see what makes most sense. I forget how it's structured exactly. Cool. So I think that's that for there. And then I have to put in Chaos Arc. Oh. I thought there, okay, whatever. Chaos. Oh, chaotic, okay. QRST, right, goes before it. Chaos. There's certain letters that I sometimes have to say out loud to know the order they're in. RST, I sometimes get the order of those confused until I say it out loud. So that's free. Chaos Arc. Dick Walker has 2 English degrees and has to do the same thing. Yeah, what's another one? HIJK. Sometimes I forget what order those go in. Anyway. Right, so add 2. Make that bold. Add 2 to each dice area, making the now replace the skill with prep or leave it right. Okay. That's see, I'm wondering about the use of the word add here, because in all other cases it's increase. So I'll talk to Chris about that, but like increase each die here stored here by 2 or something. Yeah, I'll just leave that FPO as well, and then this just goes back to prep. So hopefully this part will work as expected. Again, this is the first one that goes backwards, and I don't know if that's a problem or not. You know, we might get in some sort of loop. I don't know. I guess we'll see. And then, right, adjust dice value. The thing is adjust dice value. It's adjusting the dice stored. It's not adjusting dice you already have out there. So that's something I'm going to have to deal with too. And the adjustment is 2. So yeah, there's quite a bit to work through here already. But I'll finish doing the definitions first. Okay, divine augury. What's that one again? Free, any right. So that one's free. Combat and peril. Put those there. And any of the parties magic. Right. So that's another one we don't have. Do we have something similar that I should expand, or is this something new? Here are all the effects in the game. I don't think... Extra skill item. Oh, that's, yeah, that's nothing related. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is something new too. What are we gonna call it? So really what this is doing is re-enabling a used skill. So re-enable skill, maybe? Guess we could just say enable skill, just because it might. And then right, and then we need a die type. Die types, well, I'll just make it a single one for now, and if we have to expand it, we can. Actually, because this is the only skill that would use this, I don't think it needs any extra parameters. Those can always be added as needed, but they're not needed now. So by default, enable skill requires that they're magic skills until it's needed to change. Because you don't really need to make things more complicated than necessary unless you know something else is coming for later that sometimes affects your design. But all of these effects are programmed with expansion in mind, so that's no problem. Finally, heroic feat. So these ones are just defined right here. Since there's no reusing of heroic feats, like this is the only, Mist is the only one who has this particular heroic feat. So I just go ahead and make a stub class for that. It's a simple one. It's similar to mana charge. So I'll just copy that. New item. Focus. Heroic feat controller. What's it complaining about? It already contains it. Just some copy and paste here. What does it mean it's already there? Where is it? Oh. What? Yeah, that... I didn't mean to do that. Mana charge feed controller. Okay, I'm not sure how I did that, but anyway. Oh, it seems to think these are the same thing. Okay. Well, I will just... There. Okay. Right, so store dice here when you use a magic skill. So this should be pretty easy. Maybe I'll just start here since this is the easiest thing. Is use skill action. So this is just a helper. Basically, after every action, it checks to see what's going on. So first of all, we see, is this particular action the action of using a skill? This one here. But this helper doesn't exist yet, so I'll have to make that. Is the action. So just copy that. Is use skill action. Skill action. There. I made that pretty straightforward. So it is. So we cast it. And then we have to make sure that for this action that it was the same hero and that it was a magic. So, oops. So the hero using the skill has to be this dot hero and skill being used cost die type is magnet. Value. Alright, I'll just do this. Die type magic. And I might have to do a null check on that first, so we make sure it's missed using the skill, and we make sure that it's a magic one. And then if it is, store a die. And the rest of the code should be done automagically because good programming practices will take care of things for you. So that part should be done. I'm going to make a test. It's probably going to fail because we don't actually have some of these things Like there is no enable or store skill, store dice or enable skill yet, so I might have to make just some stubs for those, but we'll see. One player. Let's see. Hero test. Maybe I don't have these sorted the best. Right, so down here, one player heroes, here we go. So one player missed test. And I guess we'll just do a quick copy paste, hollow it out. Focus. Store heroic after magic. Skill. There we go. Now I'll just run that just as a to check for basic loading. Again, I expect it to fail. Right, so I have not defined her as one of the canonical heroes yet. So I need to do that. And constants. It's just sort of a way that we say, yes, you're a part of this game. There you go. And add her in here. Okay. Right. Store dice, yeah. So that doesn't exist yet. I'll make a stub for that. A stub is just basically like making enough that it won't complain, but not actually implementing anything useful. But it is actually useful because it makes it work. So there you go. So something basic. That's not basic. That's pretty basic. All right. Store dice. Properties. Constructors. Method. So that should be fine. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, the effect class type in there, right? There's always a few steps you have to go through to get these things going. Store dice. That's weird. It is there now. What's it not happy about? The following JSON object tried to create effect class type store dice, which does not exist in the class effect class type enum. Effect class type enum store dice. That's unexpected. I do not know. Wouldn't it? Not sure. I'm gonna try rebuilding. This is confusing to me. This is not the kind of problem I anticipated having. Sorry. Put in some temporary debugs here. Oh, it won't even give me the output. If I do that. Okay, well this isn't very exciting. Let's try not throwing an exception, just see what happens. Okay, it doesn't want to do that. So it definitely has, says that there. I'm just gonna temporarily put this here because I'm just so confused now. This doesn't seem to be updating or something. Yeah, like I just added these to the output and it's not putting it there. So something fishy is going on here. I'm gonna try a clean solution, rebuild. Let's try. Hello? Okay. Now it's not even running the tests. Okay, it's running those ones. Some of them? Oh man, what's going on? Worst live stream ever. I know you're thinking it. Okay, missed. What? Where's the mist? What is going on? Why isn't it even showing up? Oh, focus. Okay, well, oh, I can forgive that one. Okay, so that one isn't... It's not happy with that. Seems to be the case. Interesting. It's not running... It's not running half of these. Oh man, what's going on here? Like it runs these ones and then... What? Oh, no. Yeah, it ran those ones, but not those ones. Why? Okay. Run all of these. It's just the focus one that's going crazy. don't. Alright, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna temporarily give Mist some other skills. Just to see if, because those might be interfering with what I actually want to find out here. So I just want this focus thing to work. There. Okay, yeah, so it's something going on with those. No error, no output, just not working. But, okay. At least we're getting somewhere. So, sorry for all that sidetracking. I don't know what was happening, but, right, so, start the game with no heroic dice stored. Insert heroic dice. Insert stored. What is it? This is just me forgetting here. Mage test. Oh, a certain number of dice at location. Okay. Zero. Okay. During the first encounter, uses magic skill. She gains a die. Good old glooping ooze. Now for now, actually I guess I could just give her a skill from a different card, since the other ones are sort of in a weird state. Skill list. Let's see. We want a magic one. Fireball? How do we get fireball? Oh, that's from Forest of Shadows. Okay, trying to think of one that is in the base game. That's the disadvantage of having to cross-reference, is sometimes you gotta do it manually. Flame Walk? That's probably... Okay, that's also... Flame Weave. There we go. Flame Weave. Let's do that. So she'll have Flame Weave. She has no heroic dice. She uses Flame Weave. And there might be some decisions involved with that. Oh, it's no capital. so let's take a look. There we go. So she used the Flame Weave skill, and it moved a heroic die from the general supply to Miss Heroic Storage. Yay! And just to make sure, if she uses a non-magic skill, she doesn't get heroic. So let's find some other skill. Maybe I should work backwards. Accuracy. Right, accuracy is agility, so that might work. Actually, maybe I'll just make her gain it up here. Use skill. Accuracy. And she still only has one. Oh, I don't have enough to pay for accuracy. Right, that's 3 agility dice. Okay. I mean, she might have that many in the... Let's do armor crush instead. Alright. Yeah, so she uses Flame Weave and gains a heroic die. Uses armor crush, but does not gain a heroic die. Alright. Now there's always the possibility that she'll use a magic skill, but there's no heroic dice left in the general supply, and there's sort of a behind the scenes rule, if you will, about that she is owed one and gets one as soon as it becomes available. Let's see if that's easy or hard to do. In a short period of time. Right, for unable to get a die, then we have to wait for one. No, I'm not talking much right now. I'm just thinking. Store die. If there are any heroic dice left in the general supply. Right, so we can actually get the die that was stored. If no could be stored, try to get one later. So if die equals null, waiting for heroic dice. Not. Okay. I'll have to test that out for sure later, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's sort of an edge case anyway, but it does happen from time to time. Okay. So that's something. I'll commit that. A lot of projects going on here. This. Must be from a while ago. Not sure what all this extra stuff is. What's all this junk? I'll sort that out later. Okay, so definition for mist with temporary skills and implemented focus heroic feat with test. All right. Next thing. So prep. Now my guess is that the sort of loop of one skill replacing another, like prep is replaced by chaotic aura, and chaotic aura is replaced by prep. I bet that's what's causing this problem. Well, maybe not. It did seem to run that time. So let's try. Just gonna get rid of this part for now. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Just gonna get rid of this part for now, just to see if we can do the whole store a die for every 2 mana spent. And then once we have that working, I'll add the second part there. Does not contain key cost amount, which is not optional. Right. Okay, that one makes sense. Cost amount X. because you can pay up to 6. And then, yeah, I think if I do that, I need to specify, yeah, maximum die value payment. Because there's one that you can go up to 8. So, I don't like how this keeps bouncing around. If it fails, it goes to the top. If it doesn't, it goes down. And it doesn't contain key and counter types. Okay, fair enough. Good thing I put in all those, like, little messages to let me know what happened. Otherwise, you know, you just get exception. It's like, okay, that's not helpful. It's worth the time to put in those little messages. Because you might know at the time, like when you're making it, first making it, what might be going on. But when you're looking at, you know, when you're adding to old code, you might completely forget what the possibilities of what are going wrong even are, right? So let's see here. Test. Prep. Start the game with the skill prep and not chaotic aura. Oh, arc, not aura, arc. Insert hero skills. This is what I want. Not even chaotic. Chaos. Chaos arc. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Are we good so far? No. Not even. But that's their innate skill. Oh boy, am I rusty. Oh, this is the other way around. They do have this, they don't have this. Right. Okay, good. So then we go to an encounter, spend 6 magic dice on prep, gain 2 agility, 2 dice, and 1 magic to die. Good old glooping ooze. Use skill prep. Right, and so we're going to use the skill, and that should work fine, but nothing will actually happen because we haven't coded that yet. So it'll just use it, and then the game assumes you've used it, and that's that. Unless it doesn't work. It's trying to automatically pay for the skill. And that's the part that's failing here. Well, let's take a look. Use skill prep, magic X, store strength 2 or agility 2. Alright. Alright, well, I'll just... Magic 6. Prep. I'll just get a die and put it there, since the auto pay doesn't seem to be happy about this. Get die magic 6. Use skill was what? Man, it's just one fail after another here. What, using skill prep. Oh, I see. When I place the die, it's automatically using it, so then it can't use it because it's already been used. Okay. Again, sorry, rusty. But moving along. Okay. Is anyone still with me? Maybe everyone's gone and I'm just talking to dead air. Oh no, there's people here watching me get confused. Alright. Hopefully I'm not putting you to sleep. Let's see. So now we want to actually implement this. Now again, if multiple skills used store dice, then I would probably, require more parameters to go into it. But since this is the only instance in which it's used, I'm just going to say that anytime you use store dice, it does this particular thing. Right, so the first thing we want to do is find out how find out the dice used to pay for the skill. Let's see, payment dice, right? Okay, I'll probably have to import. So magic, payment dice, die combo, DC, where die type equals magic, select DC die value sum. So that gives us the total amount that was spent on the skill, and I'm just going to make sure of that before I move forward so I don't work on false assumptions, which happens to the best of us. Right, 6. Okay. That's good. And then find how many dice we gain. So we just divide that by 2. right? It's for every 2 mana spent. And it'll round down automatically, so if you spend 5, then it'll only give you 2. 3, yeah, okay. So then we have to find out which types the player wants. So there are 2 ways we could do this. One is to put all the options. So you know, like you show, for in the case of 3, you show 3 magic dice, 3 magic die in agility, 1 magic die and 2 agility, or 3 agility. And since 4 options is the most we'll ever have, that would be fine. The other way is to just show magic or agility 3 times in a row. Oh, there's a question from Pseudonym Twitch. My team just started trying to implement pair programming. Do these streams act like that for you a little bit with all the chat looking over your shoulder? I think it I wouldn't say so, because for the most part people watching don't actually like comment on, you know, like, oh, you forgot this, or maybe we could put that there. And obviously, until Twitch implements such a feature, I can't just let Twitch, people in Twitch just take over and, you know, they type while I watch. It's more of, like, I like being able to help people learn things, and so if the only thing I teach you is that I'm slow at programming, then I guess that's something. But if you know, if I show you some things and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or you know, a few years ago I didn't know what link was, right? So if I was watching somebody program and then suddenly they put where blah blah blah, like, I wouldn't know what that is, but I'd at least know that I don't know it at that point. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just don't know what it is that you don't know. It's from a Pocahontas song, isn't it? So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's mostly just like, some people are really interested in what's going on behind the scenes, and you know, we like to do that for the benefit. It's and it's a way for us to you know, get in touch with you fine folks who come out to these things, because most of the time we're working by ourselves. Take Walker says, so knowing that you know that you don't know, we know. Yeah, exactly, or something. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I've only done pair programming a few times, so I mean, when it comes to programming, the thing that interests me the most is the design of the program as a whole. I like good design. I like modular design, where you can like add things in and it doesn't mess up the whole system. You know, like when we make a digital version of a board game, we usually know there's going to be expansions, because pretty much every board game releases an expansion if it's at least reasonably successful at this point. But we don't always know what those are going to be, so we always have to design with the possibility that what we're doing could be different later. One simple example of that is, in the base game, you might only ever have one heroic feat. And that's true in One Deck Dungeon, but Chris could come up with an expansion that has a hero that has 3 heroic feats. So we need to know that that's at least a remote possibility, and design in such a way that it could accommodate that and wouldn't just break the whole system. So there's things like that. Yeah, I find that usually, though, when I watch other people program, I don't know enough about their system to know what they're doing, even if I understand the code they're writing. So knowing how the thing is structured is the more interesting thing for me to learn. Okay, so hope that helps and answers some questions. So now we know how many we have to gain. I forget what we do. I think we need to be consistent with whatever we do in other things. I'm gonna take a peek here. Gain, so you can gain A or B. Let's see. Where do we have? I know we have it somewhere. I just have to find where that somewhere is. Basically, you can gain multiple A's or B's. It's probably another magic X. I'm going to try that. I'm just going to try looking for X. For every 2 mana spent, your partner may roll, but not gain, just roll. But for this, let's see, we have... Okay, that might be the one I need to look at. Yeah, this one, Enchanted Chris. So what does that look like? Actually, I think I need this one. Right. So it looks like it's roll strength or agility, and that just happens 4 times in a row. So I guess that's what we'll do here to be consistent. And I'll just look at the code for that because I might be able to borrow some and speed things up a little bit. Right, this is similar here to what I'm doing. Similar, but not exactly the same. So, might end up combining these, but we'll see. So if the number of dice to gain is greater than 0, generate number of dice to roll. Now, it's never going to be the beneficiary. Oh, wait. Yeah. The beneficiary is always the hero. And we need to import lists. We need magic, because we can only get them as long as they're available, right? So and I guess this, while I'm thinking about it, this could also be heroic. Right, just make sure I'm doing this right here. Prep. Oh, no, it is strength or agility. Okay, I almost did that wrong. I think I got the fact that you pay magic confused. All right. Index 0. Strength is right, so we only give the option to roll strength or to gain strength as long as there's actually strength to gain. And actually it would be store strength, so I'm just going to put a temporary thing here. And if you do that, store die. I'll have to define that later. And then the same thing for agility. And then, so this is keeping track of what we actually have. So you can imagine if we don't have any strength or agility dice in the general supply, then there's no decision. You basically just wasted the skill. If there's only strength, then it automatically stores those. If there's only agility, it automatically stores those. But if there's both, then that's when a decision needs to be made. So if the choices count as 1, we do the one we can. Right, so store the one that we can. Otherwise, we choose, and then it stores it after that. So we have to actually implement storing dice. Store die. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to look at my good old friend Heroic Feet controller, which already has storage as a thing. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so Heroic Feet has storage, but I don't think a skill does. No, it has a location to put payment, but not one for storage, so we're going to have to add that. And we're going to have to make sure it actually creates it. And then in the skill controller, you have to make sure it has access to it. Well, and creates it. I'm wondering if I should make storage part of effect rather than skill. Heroic feats inherit from effect. John, if you're there and listening, so right now I have location storage in Heroic Feat. Heroic Feat is a subclass of effect. If I move storage to effect, will that still work in terms of like serialization and stuff? Although it does say non-serialized. Not sure why. I must create it on, I don't know. I think it's lying. Yeah, they are serialized. Anyway, if you heard the question, do you know the answer to that? Right. You're not sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure either. We do, yeah, we just save load. do have a number of... I don't know if these load old games, though. I'm just gonna... Yeah. I'll put it in for now, and we'll see what happens. We'll have to test it later. Put storage temp for now, just so it doesn't complain about there being two. Storage temp. So we won't have that in skill. We're going to have it in effect. Actually, I want it to be storage location anyway. Okay, so now I gotta find out where it creates it. A lot of references. Oh, okay, just in the constructor. Bent pin. What are you working on today? Yeah, so for the first time in a long time, we're adding a new hero to One Deck Dungeon. Her name is Mist, and she is from the game Aeon's End. One thing that we've been kind of doing with some of our games is crossovers between some of the different game makers. So Aeon's End is made by Indie Boards and Cards, and One Deck Dungeon is made by Asmati Games, but we have and Sentinels is made by Greater Than Games, but we put Fnatic from Sentinels into One Deck Dungeon, and now we're putting Mist from Aeon's End into One Deck Dungeon. It's kind of a neat opportunity we get to do since we're working with multiple board game creators and companies. And we we're able to work those things out, get the resources we need, and make that kind of thing happen. So that's pretty cool. And sometimes that leads to fairly unique mechanics for the characters, because you're trying to take the mechanics of one game and the theme of one game and then put them in another game. And so sometimes that requires thinking a little bit outside the box of what you would typically do in the target game. So that is what I am working on. Alright, so that exists now. So store dice. So now that location exists. I'm going to do this, clear out some things here. Again, I'm going to look back at my example here to make things go a little quicker. Right, so if it doesn't have the type of die you want, you have the chance to discard one to get it. And then we have to define what happens afterwards, which is basically it just moves the die to that storage location. So we have a new reason. It's just storing die. And the owner of this effect gets it. And then after you gain the die, it has to generate another one. Okay. Sorry for the radio silence, just kind of typing stuff in here. So yeah, so what this does is it makes the it gives you the choice between a strength and an agility die. You select which one you want. It stores that die from the general supply. If it's not available in the general supply, it allows you to discard to get one. And then it moves moves the die to the storage location on the skill, and then if you still have more left, then it goes back and does it again. So there's no actual like while or for loop here. It's just kind of, I guess it's more like recursion, where it has an endpoint to how many times it'll call itself. So let's see what's going on if we actually run this thing. Okay, well it's happy with it. Doesn't mean it worked. Okay, so there's our first choice. We can store strength or store agility. Great. So we'll say we're going to store 2 strength dice and 1 agility die. 2 die. So, and actually, I'll go ahead and put 2 in here. So use select effect. Strength is first. So 0 means strength and 1 means agility. So we go strength, strength, agility, and we should have those dice stored. Let's see what happens. Okay, store strength 2, move die strength from general supply to storage. Now it hasn't assigned it a value, so we need to fix that. But it did move it. So, and then store another strength, and then store agility. So it looks like it moved another strength instead of agility. So I must have done something wrong there. Oh yeah, this just needs to be agility. That should fix that problem. And then so it did that 3 times, and it looks like it's coming back a 4th time. It shouldn't. So maybe I just have these values wrong here. Zero, 1, 2. Right, it does it 1 time for free, so that's why that's not working. So this should be 1. Because if it wasn't doing it at all, it would never even go here. So yeah, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, and then it's done. And then because she used a magic skill, she also gets a heroic. That's pretty powerful. I mean, again, you're storing them now to use them later, but still, that's pretty good. I'll get rid of the debug statement here. So now I have to do some assertions. We should have 2 strength, 2 dice, and 1 agility, 2 die stored, and we gain 1 heroic die from the heroic feat. Assert number of dice at location, right? There we go. Okay. Let's see how that works. No heroic dice in the dice pool. Oh, right. Heroic feat storage, not dice pool. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Right, so I have to actually assign these values. Right now, they have no value. Because usually when you store dice, when it's a heroic feat, it's just storing it and then you roll it. But in this, for this particular skill, it stores it with a value, so that when you gain them, they already have the value you're going to get. But I need to take a short break, so I will be back in a few minutes. Alright, I am back. Right. So now I need these to actually assign values. So I'm pretty sure the tradition in the game is to set the value before it moves. I'm just going to double check that gain. Yeah, set die value and then move it. I don't know if it really matters or not, but it might for the UI, like when it's showing the animation. You'll want to see it being the value it actually is, as opposed to moving and then changing to the value. I don't know. I'll just do it beforehand since that's what we already have. So we have the die, we have the value. That should do it. Let's see. Right, so set it to 2 and move it. Set it to 2, move it. Set it to 2, move it, blah, blah, blah. Done, yay, okay. Looks like I don't have any helpers for... I can't get the dice though, so I'll do that. Strength, agility. Just do this. Assert dice. The dice values are all. So we know we have the right number of them. Now we just have to assert that they're the right values in the test. What? Oh. Okay. Here we go. Okay. That's going pretty well. I am going to commit that. Implemented prep skill without replacement. Because right now it's not actually being replaced. Which is what we do want. So what we're going to do is we'll go to the skill. Whoops, the chat's gone. There we go. And we'll put this back. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, yes, I did. Right. Chaos, not coas. And then I took out the part where it goes back because I think that was causing a problem. But we can just at least test that it moves forward correctly. So now After it's used, it should replace itself. And it doesn't. Okay. So that's not entirely surprising because this whole replacing itself thing is only used once. So it might not be generic. So let's see. Right, do child effect. So I think that's what's missing. So after we're done all this, then do child effect, if applicable. Let's see if that does it. It doesn't look like it. So why is that? Child effect. This is just to make me let me see if it's actually getting to this point in the code or not. Okay, it is. So that's should consider effect resolve. It has no activations. So let's just see. Do child effect. Okay, it's getting there. So where is it going astray? Just trying to follow it until I see where it's not actually doing the child effect. A child effect is basically what happens after the main effect of the one you're doing is. So it should store the dice and then do the child, and the child is to replace itself. But it's just deciding not to do that. So it's not getting there. Excuse me. So let's see, is this null? Because if it is, that would explain why it's not getting there, although it shouldn't be null. So yeah, it's null. Okay. All right, why is it null? Because when it creates this, it should also create its child. As far as I remember. Yeah, so it's null there as well. Why? Just want to make sure I did this right here. Prep. Yeah, effect. Child effect. Oh, this needs to go inside. Whoops. Whoopsie doopsie. Okay, that would explain it. All right, let's see if that fixed the issue. Well, right, okay, so that's good. It's just complaining that I forgot to fill in some information. That's pretty basic stuff. Oh, null reference. What's null? Oh, let's see what's going on here. So it's trying to do the replacement, but it can't. And actually, I'm not sure if this is needed. Let's give it a shot. No, it's not needed. So once it's all done, 2, 3. Then, right. So it's missing one of these parameters. Quantity of dice. Right. Alright, I'll look for some examples. Again, it's been a while since I've done this kind of thing, so cleave quantity of dice. That's how many dice it's allowed to adjust. Most of the time it's 1. Just trying to see if there's an example where it just adjusts all of them. Guess not. Okay, so that's another thing I have to account for. Right, I have to somehow indicate that I want the dice that are in. There, but let's just see if I can get this working. Right, replace skill prep with skill chaos arc. Looks like Cat Dreaming has just joined us and asked, programming in a new thing or troubleshooting today? Both. Yeah, I'm programming a new hero for One Deck Dungeon, Mist, who is a character from Aeon Zen. It's sort of a crossover event kind of thing. But I haven't touched this code in a while, and the things she does are a little new to the engine. So definitely troubleshooting along the way. Which isn't, terribly unusual when you're doing something new. But especially because I haven't worked with it in a while. It's doubling up on my wondering what's going on-ness. So okay, are you commenting your code as if the next person is going to be an axe murderer with your address? I didn't really have that target audience in mind, but I am commenting my code along the way. That hopefully a less insane person would be able to understand it. Alright. Right, so Mist used the Chaos Arc skill. Bing. Which is good, because it got replaced, Prep got replaced with Chaos Arc. Good. Assert replaced, maybe? Oh, okay. That makes sense. So now they don't have prep, and they do have Chaos Arc. Replaced by Chaos Arc. Now, right. So here's what's happening is I want to make sure that those dice are at the storage location of this effect, but that effect is gone. So, right, because I think what effectively is happening here is that the skill is pointing to a new effect. I'm not sure if it's two separate skills, or one skill with two effects. So I'm going to have to take a look at what replacing skills actually does in here. No, it does actually change what skill it's pointing to. Okay. So really, when I store those dice, I'm not storing it to prep. I'm either not storing it to prep, and I just store it directly to Chaos Arc, or I do store them to prep and then move them over. I'm not sure which is better. Because if I make it so it goes directly to Chaos Arc, then they won't actually show up until it's replaced, which it won't until later. Yeah, I feel like moving them from one to another makes more sense. I'm going to go with that. So, so that's kind of wonky. All right. So let's see here. Store dice effect. We move the dice. We do the child effect. But the child effect happens after they've resolved. So we need a chance for this one to go after the replacement, but the replacement doesn't happen until this is all finished. I'll look at skill controller here. Okay, so what I think I'll have to do is add something here. So after replacing a skill, the old skill controller has a chance to do something. And that, no, I guess we could just make it a generic thing. Any stored dice in one skill moves to the new skill. Yeah. Any stored dice in the old skill moves to the new skill. So this dot skill controller being replaced dot effect dot storage dice dot dice. So these are the dice in the old skill dice, if there are any. I guess I could just do any. Move dice. Old skill dice. And then where do we move it? We move it to the new skill. Oh, the skill controller changes the skill model object. Okay. So actually, this dot old skill dot storage dot effect dot storage dot dice. Yeah. And then those dice move to this dot skill controller being replaced dot effect dot storage location. What's missing? Oh, the move dice reason. Transfer stored dice to replacement skill. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that's what it's doing. Okay, let's see what it's, so this probably, this might need to be updated. We'll see. So let's see if we see that transfer happen. So A null reference exception. Okay, it's having trouble moving those dice. And that's because it can't find the location controller anymore. Of the dice, right? Yeah. So I'm going to have to hold on to those. So that might need to actually be part of this. Old skill storage location controller. Storage location. Old skill controller. Okay, so time to add an optional parameter. So what? Sorry, I've been really quiet here, but what's going on basically is that there are multiple layers to the engine. There's the controller and the model, and the model is what's saved, and the controller is what, well, controls. It has the logic basically for that model object. When a skill is replaced, as it is in this case, the controller stays the same, but the underlying model object changes. And so that means we have two different model objects, and all the dice are still trapped in the old one. So we need to move it over. But once you can't move it over until the switch has happened, and once the switch has happened, it's having trouble finding where the old ones are. So I'm going to have to add like a manual thing just to say, you know, don't look for them, they're right here. And hopefully that will take care of this particular situation. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what happens. No, compiler. Okay, so I think it got past that part. Let's see. So we get the 2 strength dice and the agility die. And then yeah, it moves from one storage to another, which is good. Replace skill prep with chaos arc. So now right, and now this doesn't exist anymore. Well, I guess it did before it was used, so I can just do that and rename it prep chaos arc. There. Let's see what happens. Something. Ah, so now she's not getting her heroic die, because prep, which is a magic spell, turns into chaos arc, which isn't a magic spell. So when it's looking at it retroactively, it's saying, oh, that mage didn't just use a magic spell, they used a freeze spell. So I guess it also has to look at the old one to see skill to see if that's what it was. Okay. What was it called? Focus? Yeah. Okay, so it does have a hash set of its old skills. Let's see here. How can we get at that? Is or was. Okay. So I'm going to have a little helper here. Skill being used is or was of cost die type. There. So I'm just making a little helper, and I can fill that in. Is or was of cost die type. Is of type. Was of type. Previous skills. Okay, so check if this skill is or ever has been of the specified die type for cost, and then check if it is now. If not, check if it ever was. Okay, and then this should return true because it was magic when it was used. The problem with this now is that when it goes back to being prepped from Chaos Arc, it will also return true. So I'm going to have to deal with that when it happens, but for now I'll just go with this. Yeah. There we go. Miss you, so yeah, the game's the heroic. Yay. Okay, so that took a while. I'm not surprised that it did, but I think that's, I mean, I've been doing this for 2.5 hours now, so that's probably a good time to wrap it up. I'll either continue by myself or maybe another dev stream. I don't know. I'll have to check with the team. But I think that's plenty of streaming for me for now. So if you have any questions, now's a good time. And if not, then I will begin to say my goodbyes. Thanks. Thank you, Take Walker, for showing up. Thanks to everybody who's here. Hopefully there was at least something useful in this stream for you. Maybe some of you have me on mute the whole time, but that's fine. Unless you're into programming, it's probably not terribly entertaining for people, but okay, looks like that's about it then. So yeah, thanks for showing up. Hopefully that was of some interest. And lets you get your first look at what's coming up in One Deck Dungeon. Probably not in the next update, but since we have to get all the art assets and testing and all that stuff done, but hopefully in the one after that. All right, that about wraps it up then. Take care, everyone.